My name is Lorian Egesa, and tonight I will give you interview-winning tips that will guarantee you 99% chance of being hired. You might have been applying for job opportunities and you have not been invited for an interview. I highly recommend that you subscribe because our next video will be about how you can craft a killer CV that will get you shortlisted so that you can have a chance to defend yourself at the interview panel. You might even have called friends in high places, positions that are influential, to try and hook you up with a job without success. Maybe they were just not able to assist. You also might have attended a number of interviews and you have not been successful to be hired. Well, those are things that many people go through. I want to advise you to stop thinking about those and focus on the next opportunity. And so I am going to divide this tutorial into two sections. The first section is what you need to do before you get into the interview. And then the second section will be about what you need to do after you get into the interview. Now, congratulations, you have applied for a job. And remember, millions of people have applied for the same job. And you are lucky to be shortlisted. What do you do to enhance your chances of getting the job? Remember, the interview process is not a hop, skip, and jump process. It is an art. The strategic way you approach it is what will give you the job. And so, what do you need to do just before you get into the interview room? One, you need to mentally recite some of the technical terms, some of the technical phrases, some of the approaches that you might have studied and experienced in a way that they will align your thought process. You need to remember some keywords that you will use that will set you apart from the competition. You need to think about those things. Culture, the context, those key things that are very important to the job that will set you apart from the competition. Now, this is not the time to start getting into WhatsApp chats. This is not the time to start calling a family friend. This is not a time to start reading fancy forwards and those things that will derail your thought process. In fact, I advise that as soon as you get to that reception, please switch off that phone. So you get into the interview. What do you need to do? Tip number one, introduction. Statistics show that first impressions are created between the first 7 and 17 seconds. So you want to ensure that within that period of time, you have captured the attention of the panel to the extent that they can listen to you and give you a chance at the end of the interview process. And therefore, one of the things that you need to do is that you need to dress the best. Put on your best business attire. And so avoid things like fancy hairstyles, outrageous perfumes, fancy jewelry, and anything that can distract the interviewing panel to make them form a negative opinion against you early in the interview. The second thing is what you say. So it will essentially be a response to the question, tell us about yourself, walk us through your background. This is the wholesale opportunity to shine. Keep it professional. Make it natural. Don't overpromise. Don't promise heaven on earth. Keep it very professional. And what I suggest is that spend a maximum of 2 minutes on this. If you're interested to know how to answer this question, again, I suggest that you subscribe because we're going to have a video specifically to address this question. Tell us about yourself. Tip number 2 is chemistry. Statistics show that for face-to-face interviews, including online interviews, 93% of opinions formed are based on non-verbal inputs. And we are talking about how you sit, how you shake hands, eye contact, and such other nonverbal inputs. And therefore, when you get to that room, ensure that you sit upright and you maintain eye contact. Also, research on the organization to find out whether you can get things that can bring common ground between you and the panel. I'm looking at things like whether you're from the same alumni, whether you are in the same social membership clubs, whether you are in the same professional membership groups, and such other things that will make you a connection between you and the panel. The other thing that you need to do is that during the interview process, there is the introduction of the panel and yourself. Ensure to remember at least 2 or 3 names which you can use throughout the interview. Remember, human beings have egos, so appeal to their egos by calling their names and keeping them within the interview in a manner that you have control over everything. Now, tip number 3 is content. Friends, just because you have been doing this job for all these years, do not assume that you just walk up, show up at the interview and answer the question. You have to research the organization, you have to visit the JD, you have to be prepared to answer questions that are within the JD. Look at your CV as well, because it can be awkward if you are asked a question about your resume and you have absolutely no clue. And therefore, content is key. If you're interviewing for a finance job, for example, ensure that you know key finance concepts such as treasury, such as financial risk, such as month and close, anything that will make you look like you have content. Remember, they're interested in what you bring on the table, and that content might just be what gets you the job. I am also saying that if you are in executive level job, be sure to do some research so that you have a global view, a strategic view of the job that you're being hired for. If you are in a technical level, ensure that you have technical know-how of the job that you are being hired for. And I advise that for the purposes of content, you will find that content in the job description and a review of the general business and culture of the organization. Also, about content, ensure that your answers and the way you approach that interview it sits well with the culture. People want to hire individuals who fit in the culture of the organization. So keep in mind culture as a major factor when you are interviewing. Lastly, when you're being interviewed, be careful to not talk about yourself too much, because you will come across as someone who is self-centered. These people are interested in you because they want to see what value you're going to add to the organization. And therefore, I suggest that during the interview, you show and demonstrate the value that you are going to add to that organization. And value here, I suggest that you use examples. Use your past examples of how you changed a problem and created an opportunity, how you solved a problem, how you created teams, how you created synergy, and how you grew sales, how you reduced expenditure, how you reduced pilferage. Things that will enable the panelists see the kind of value that you'll be bringing to that organization. If you follow those 4 tips the way I have suggested, then I guarantee you that unless there are other factors beyond your control, then you will be hired. Thank you very much. And if you like this video, please hit the like button so that you encourage us to continue doing this kind of videos to encourage people who are looking for jobs and those ones who want to get shortlisted. Subscribe so that you don't miss out on our next video. Thank you very much and have a good one.